All right. Hi, everyone. My name is Idowu Akinde. Everyone calls me ID. In this fifth and final video in the third season, in season 3 of our Dear Founder Startup Building series, we'll be discussing the business model canvas. I have often said that sometimes when I try to be funny, I've titled this session for other people as "Say Hello to Your Best Friend." All right, so the reason is the business model canvas is something that sounds like something you should dismiss. It sounds business model canvas. Who names a product like that? Business, first of all, business, anyway. Model, oh, come on, model. That sounds like something that all the smart people deal with all the time, financial model, all sorts of models, right? Architectural model. Model sounds like something for really, really smart people. And then canvas, come on, business, all in one word, all in one sentence, all in one phrase, one noun phrase, business model canvas. That's so, it sounds like if you know that stuff, you must really, really be smart. But that doesn't do it justice. In a nutshell, the business model canvas is a modern equivalent of what used to be the most popular document for launching a new business. There was a time when, before you launched any new business, you made sure that you documented every aspect of that particular business, from the operation strategy to the marketing strategy to everything, every aspect, right? And you document everything in something called a business plan. And some business plans have been known to exceed 100 pages, typical. In fact, it's not strange if somebody sends you a business plan and you open it and you say 120 pages. That's not strange at all, right? In the world of business plans. The business model, some really, really smart guys, the guys that strategize, and you see me give credit to them when I share my slides. Yves Pigner and Alexander Osterwalder have figured out, and documented, how to think about launching a business. So the business model canvas is a one-page document. Actually doesn't take more than a foolscap sheet, right? A one-page document is just broken down into sections with 9 sections, 9 components. So think about it as a one-page document that you can, keep in your scratch pad, like your diary, or a one-page document that you can stick in the wall somewhere, right? Or something you can just draw, you can just scribble on a whiteboard, on flip chart or something, And what does it do? It serves as a visual summary of how to build, of your thoughts for how you are going to build a particular business. The previous alternative before the business model canvas appeared on the scene was that you would document 120 pages. And if you're going to document anything in 120 pages, you can be sure that as you are dropping your pen and or sending that document, maybe via email or via courier, as you're sending that document to the recipient, some things have happened in society that have made certain elements, certain components of that document obsolete. Maybe a law has changed. Maybe a market has changed direction. Maybe in technology has changed, an online technology for your service, your solution, your business has become obsolete, and so on and so forth. So it's a lot of effort. I'm not saying that business plans are not useful. Business plans are still extremely useful. They have their context, they have their situations where they are useful. But creating business plans every time you needed to validate a business idea was a lot lot of headache. And so the business plan, the business model canvas came to the rescue. The business model canvas, once again, is a one-page visual summary which, that helps you clearly think about a couple of things. Number one, how are you going to run this business? Number one. Number two, how is this business going to make money? Number three, what do you need to run this business? And number four, is it going to be worth it, right? Essentially, is it going to be worth it to run this business or not? Without much further ado, let's get cracking and let me show you how to. Like I said, this is one of my favorite topics to discuss, the business model canvas. And I actually even have a surprise. Let's see what surprise I have in store as we progress with the slides. So we're going to use the 6 W's technique, and we're going to answer 6 questions. What is the business model canvas? Why, for whom, when, where, how? What's the business model canvas? The business model canvas is a strategic tool. It's something that is used to communicate strategy. So it's a strategy document. If you look at it, that's it. Think about it like someone sitting in a helicopter and looking at the layout of a particular estate, in your city, right? And seeing that, oh, this is where the power plant is. This is where the water utility is. This is where the schools and, ancillary businesses or facilities are. This is where the gyms are, so something like that. That's exactly what this is. So this kind of helps you think about the building blocks, right? The same way the things I mentioned are the building blocks of a residential estate. The same way there are certain building blocks in every business, and whether that business is someone who is hawking some kind of FMCG products on Third Mainland Bridge in Lagos, or it's or it's a venture capital company somewhere in Silicon Valley, or whatever that is. It's a way to visualize and visualize and communicate the strategy for your business. Okay. Again, it's a free template, and it was designed by a company called Strategizer. All right. Why the business model canvas? Why do you need it? What's the purpose? What advantage does it do for anyone? The business model canvas is useful for, like I said earlier, 4 things, for answering 4 questions. Question 1, how are you going to run this business? How are you going to run this business? Typical question that you get if you're a founder. How are you going to run this business? Business model canvas helps you answer that in a nutshell, without writing 120 pages. Okay. How are you going to make money? Which is different from how you're going to run this business. How are you going to make money? Third question that it helps you answer. Third reason why you should consider it strongly. What do you need to put in place in order to make money from this business? Okay. And finally, number 4, is it going to be viable to run this business at all? Is this a viable business? Is this a business worth pursuing? And the reason why we are discussing this in solution validation is that by the time you have gone as far on the startup journey as to design a solution for a particular problem, you might as well immediately take a low-cost, quick and dirty approach to validating that you can build a business behind the solution that you are proposing. So if people have a problem with conserving the temperature of their drinking water, maybe while at the office, and you have a solution, which is some kind of technology solution that, imagine that this hadn't existed before, some kind of technology solution that conserves heat when it is hot substances, hot liquids, when it's poured in here without, feeling hot. So the way this works, you can have hot water in it, but if I hold it, it's metal. If I hold it, I'm not going to feel the heat. It's not going to burn my hand, right? So, imagine that that technology is the solution to the problem that I have. Every day I have to go and reheat the kettle, reheat the kettle, reheat the kettle. That's the problem, okay? And this is the technology solution. The problem is that there is no other time to validate whether this technology solution can have a business, or let me say that differently. There's no other time to confirm whether or not one can build a business around this technology solution. So the technology solution is the technology to conserve hot liquids in a metallic substance that should normally conduct heat, but it does not conduct heat. So that question is, and that's the big question that the business model canvas helps you answer. Can you build a business around the solution you are offering? So as you are proposing or offering solutions and watching the feedback of your customers, you're also doing the internal work within your organization to quickly validate. Oh, back in the day, 12 years ago, we used to write business model. We used to have full business plans. Nowadays, just whip out your sheet of paper and just draw out the segments and just validate what you need to validate. Okay, and these are the building blocks, right? If you look at the chart on the right, you've got the diagram on the right, and the bullet list on the left. The building blocks are there: customer segments, value propositions, channels, customer relationships, and then revenue streams. Then you have key activities, resources, partners, and costs. Okay, and let's move on quickly. The exciting thing is still far ahead. Don't worry about that. The point of this slide is to tell you that the business model canvas is a how document. It's not a what document. The business model canvas doesn't seek to answer the question of what is your business. It seeks to answer the question of how do you intend to run this business. All right. And it's designed for innovators. Okay. And it's useful all the time. Okay, so business model canvas is as deployed a free template available at the Strategizer website, strategizer.com/da, right? But I have a surprise, and I will see that surprise shortly. Now, if you notice, over on the last slide, we spoke about these building blocks, but there's an order to which I listed the blocks. I didn't start from partners, activities, resources, value propositions. I started from the left, okay? And you're going to notice why that is important shortly, okay? So there is an order, okay? Customer segments, value propositions, channels, relationships, revenues, activities, resources, partners, and costs, okay? And then there are two halves to the cost, to the business model canvas, and we'll take a look at it shortly. How? Let's quickly look at this. I have this open somewhere else, so please permit me to stop that share and continue from my browser. Here we are. Excuse me. Share screen, and let's see the startup BMC. There you go. In a nutshell, this is what the official business model canvas looks like, directly downloaded from the Strategizer website. Okay, it's a full, like I said, it's a one-page layout. It's available for free, but this is how it was designed. I have a few things to show us, and hopefully we can do this together. A few exciting things, and there's a free gift. Okay. Let's go. If you notice on this slide, there is no, okay, let me say that differently. I have, sat on a lot of panels. I've heard a lot of pitches, and I can tell, this audience for free that unknown to many founders, there is nothing that communicates, rookie alert. There's nothing that communicates that you don't know what you are talking about as much as when a founder tries to present the BMC, sometimes as part of their deck, they get to a slide, they have the business model canvas, and they start presenting it from the left side, key partners. The problem is that all of us, well, most of us, read and write in English language, and so we start from the left, right? And right from the left to the right. However, the gentlemen, the geniuses, the gentlemen that built this template, this tool, I want to say forgot to give us an inkling as to exactly how to, in the order in which to fill this template. So this is one of the things that I'm going to be doing here, okay? Even though there is a document, there's an accompanying document called the Business Model Generation Playbook or something like that, right? There's an accompanying PDF and a book that I can follow, but I believe that, user experience is very important, and, we might as well put the numbers beside the segments so that we can see exactly which order we should follow. And we don't have to remember it or, run into errors while remembering it. So actually, instead of starting from the left, where the key partners are, you start to fill the business model canvas from the right. So you start with your customer segments. And again, this is where one of the videos in season 1, the market segmentation, really is required for this. So you literally just lift the segments from there. Segments are, roughly also your customer persona. So if you've done persona there before, even if you didn't do a full-blown segmentation, just lift all your personas that you have, either with persona, lift all your personas and list them out here. Number 1. Number 2, value propositions. What are the promises that people buy when they buy your product? So there's a temptation under value propositions. I've seen a lot of people make this mistake. There's a temptation under value propositions to think that people buy features and then list features under value propositions. The value proposition is not a feature. So over here, we're not expecting to see the features of your product. We want to see the things that make people use your features or your products, right? The benefits, the value propositions, the benefits that are put to them. Number 3 is the channels, right? And you break down channels into 2 major ones. There are a couple of other ones, but I just like to focus on these: the marketing channels and the delivery channels. Marketing channels, how do you reach your customers? Delivery channels, how do you distribute or deliver the product to your customers after you've completed the service? Number 4, what type of relationship do you want to build with your customer? Is it going to be a one-on-one relationship? Is it going to be, concierge? Is it going to be, those kind of thoughts? What kind of relationship are you going to build with your customers? And then number 5, revenue streams. By the time you're done with number 5, okay, revenue streams is what kind of, where does show me the money? Okay, revenue streams means show me the money. So you would then say for each of these segments that you listed in the number 1 customer segment section, for each here, you then say, $3 per sale times, or $3, let me say $100 per, $10 per customer per year, and there are 10,000 customers in segment A, equals $100,000 per year. Okay. Segment B, $100 per customer per year, and there are 10,000 customers in this segment B, now gives you $1 million per year. So you get the gist, right? So at the end of the day, you then add up all of those and you have your total projected revenue. So again, it's high level. You don't need to be exact. It's not an exact science. It just gives you a high level summary. Now, another thing that is missing in the standard template is that if you look at this template, there is actually something called a front end and a back end. Okay, and this is it. To the right, we just covered segment 1. Let me use the annotation here so that my marker is visible. We've just covered segment 1. We just covered segment 2. We just covered 3. We just covered 4 and 5. The implication of all of this that we've just done is that we have actually finished the first half of this document. So everything to the right of that purple line, that purple dashed line that I put there, imaginary line, is actually called the right-hand side or the front end of your business. So when somebody asks you, oh, show me, especially somebody who is proficient or is, experienced with the business model canvas, if they ask you, can you show me the right-hand side of your business model canvas? Or what does your right-hand side say? Or what's the front end of your business? What they are asking you is, how do you answer this question? And the question is written right there, okay? How do you answer this question? How do you answer this question? How do we make money? Everything on the right side helps you answer the question of how do you make money. Number one, who are the customers that will pay you? Number two, what are you going to sell to those customers? Are you selling ease? Are you selling convenience? Are you selling after sales guarantee? Are you selling speed? Are you selling attention to detail? Are you selling, what are you selling? What's the value proposition? Okay. And so, number three, how do you find them? How do you find the customers? How do you deliver to them so that they can pay you? Number four, what are the relationships? What type of relationship will you have with them? Number five, where's the money? Okay, so all these 5 initial questions help you answer the simple question of how do you make money for your business? Okay, having said that, on the left, what's then left is the left side. Okay, again, similarly, everything to the left of that line, okay, is the left-hand side or the back end. And so we then ask the similar question, the corresponding question to ask on the left side is, what do we need to put in place to make the money we have projected on the right side? Okay, so if you look at the kinds of questions that you'll be asked here, and we'll go through those things now, those questions help you answer the question, what do you need in order to make the money you think you make on the right side? So finishing on the 5 revenue streams on the right side, we cross over to the left side and we answer the question, what are the key activities that this business needs to carry out? If you're a tech startup, obviously there's going to be programming or some kind of software engineering. There's going to be product management. There's going to be hiring. There's going to be maybe operations. There's going to be legal work to be done. So what are the activities? If you're a logistics startup, there's going to be supply chain management, there's going to be vendor management, there's going to be distributor management, each style of startup, each sector will also have its unique things, but what are the key activities that need to be carried out in this particular business in order to make the money you're talking about? Then you then think, I've listed the activities. What do I need? What are the resources I need to carry out these activities? If one of your activities here is software development work, then by implication, one of your resources needs to be software development, or let's call it software engineering work up there, software engineers down here, salespeople, sales activity there, salespeople down here, and so on and so forth. Logistics activities there, logistics resources over here. Do you need power resources? Do you need, standby power? Do you need a facility? Do you need a factory? Do you need a warehouse? Do you need access to quality roads or some kind of distribution network? Those are the resources you need. You put those in there. And finally, on the what do you need broad question, what kind of partnerships do you need to strike that will augment your key activities and resources in order to be able to deliver this promise on the right side? So partnerships, I always use the example of, if you are building an e-commerce website, for instance, one of the critical components of e-commerce, 2 critical components of e-commerce websites are, number one, how do people pay you for the items that are going to be delivering to them, that they're buying off your shelves, your e-shelves, technically. How do they pay you? Number 2, how do you deliver the product to them? So now the question always arises that, fine, you are building an e-commerce startup, but are you justified to go and build afresh a payment company just because you want to receive payments? Why don't you partner with a payment company that already exists and is doing well? Ask them what it would take to consume their API, take that API on, embed it into your e-commerce website, and allow people to accept payments from Visa, MasterCard, InterSwitch, Paystack, Payday, and all the other fintechs, that are available right now, Stripe, and the others. So rather than reinvent the wheel, building a payment company from scratch just because you need payments functionality in your e-commerce website, you strike a partnership with a payments company. And that's what falls on a partner. In the same vein, if you need to deliver products after they are ordered from your e-commerce store, are you going to invest in a fleet of 500 motorcycles? Let's say that motorcycles are the most effective, or 500 delivery vehicles, rather than motorcycles and trucks. Are you going to invest in that? Or even airplanes? Are you going to invest in a delivery network, a delivery company, a delivery infrastructure, just because you need delivery services to fulfill your promises to your e-commerce customers? So that's the thinking. You always think about what are those things that I need that do not necessarily need to reside in-house within my company. Falls under the partnerships. And then finally, the cost structure. So just think about your typical profit and loss of P&L if you've ever seen one before. What are the major headers? Number one, cost of goods sold. Number two, payroll. Number three, maybe infrastructure, tech infrastructure, whatever other infrastructure. Number four, operating costs. Just the big headers, so that by the time you add up those big headers, you can then get an estimated projected total cost profile. So usually, just to have a semblance of comparing apples against apples, we try to unify the units, the time interval, and make sure that this is expressed in per. The revenue streams are expressed per annum, and the cost is also expressed per annum. So that you can then look at this again. It's a one-page document, right? You can then look at it after 20 minutes of this exercise or 15 minutes of this exercise and say, oh, this looks like a $500 million business, $500 million business that will require $100 million to execute. Oh, that sounds good. Please, are you selling shares? So in a nutshell, this is the upgraded business model canvas. And I'm giving away this template for free, but you haven't even seen everything yet, right? I have one more surprise. Okay, and there we are. Okay, this was the initial one. Has a lot of weaknesses. Number one, there's no numbers. Number two, there's no obvious way to delineate between the right-hand side and the left-hand side, the front end and the back end. And then number three, there's no color coding. So in this particular instance, I'm giving away this particular template for free. The link will be in the comments. It's something that's been on my mind for quite a while, but I finally just got around to doing it. Essentially, it's a template that anybody can just take up and modify and use for their use. But essentially, it does three things that the original one from Strategizer does not. Number one, it gives you this sense of numbering. So you don't need to, and I've seen some people get into heated arguments. Is it channels before relationships or is it relationships before channels? Sometimes it's like 6.5 a dozen. But essentially, you don't need to forget the order anymore. Customer segments first. Always start with the customer. Always start with the customer. There's this, well, would I call it a trick, really? But, actually, I've interacted with a few founders who started from the value proposition. So they were smart enough not to start from the key partners, right? But then they started from value propositions. And that's because they are the kind of people I described earlier as solutioning, people who engage in solutioning when I was talking about the consultancy thing in the previous season. So solutioning is that thing you bring on board, to a customer's scenario, life, environment, and you don't really interrogate or query or investigate into the root causes of whatever problems you've observed, and you just start to provide solutions to those surface problems, right? It's a big issue in consulting, and this is exact. So if you see somebody that is filling out the value propositions thing first, that person does not yet appreciate fully well enough that the customer segment is actually the root of all innovation. I always say this, and founders that are close to me always make fun of me. I always say that the expert is the innovation expert, the consultant, okay? The consultant is an expert in solving problems. But nobody is as expert in experiencing a problem as the customer. So there is no problem that a consultant knows better than the customer about. Yes, the consultant knows the solution to the problem, but the consultant cannot know more about that problem than the customer, which is why we did all of that immersion, design thinking in season 1, episode 1, all that immersion. We want to borrow a leaf, we want to live a life in this customer's life so that we can understand how they see the world and understand which problems are important to them and how they interpret the world every day. And we'll be surprised, how different it is from ours. So customer segments, number 1, value propositions, number 2, marketing and delivery channels, number 3, customer relationships, number 4, revenue streams, number 5. And then on the other side, key activities, key resources, key partners, and cost structure. Maximum respect, maximum shout out, maximum kudos to the gentlemen, to the management, owners, management, and staff of Strategizer who have launched the business model canvas, which has made a lot of people's lives easier. But this is my contribution to the startup space. I'd like to give this away, and if it's useful to anyone, please drop a comment in the notes. Please refer this video, refer the entire series. If you find it useful, share it. I usually conduct a live simulation, right? Right after sharing this, I usually conduct a live simulation where we actually think about a startup. Let's say maybe a renewable energy startup or something, and we actually break it down: customer segments, value propositions, channels. We do everything, so it's real data. But just because this is an intro video, we don't need to do that live. If you'd like to have that, please feel free to reach out to me, and I'm happy to do that for you, for your team, for your department, for your organization. On that note, I'll drop the mic here. Thank you for, as I always say, thank you for tolerating my hallucinations. I'll see you on the next one. Bye. That's the Business Model Canvas 2.0, BMC 2.0, or the Startup BMC. Happy to give this away to the ecosystem, and happy to share credits, as you can see at the bottom of the screen, with the Strategizer team. Bye.